Welcome back, everybody. This is Sprues and Studs, and we have another action figure to review. I know, surprise, surprise, right? In this one, we're going to be reviewing a McFarlane action figure, which I believe was released about a year ago. And this one is the Raven Guard Veteran Intercessor. And specifically, we will be reviewing this guy over here. So we will see definitely what McFarlane has to offer with this action figure. So let's just jump right in onto the review.
Okay, unboxing the Marine. Slide the guy out. There you go. And voila, we have the Intercessor fully unveiled. So as usual, we will start at looking at the armaments with the chainsword. So again, the chainsword has a bit of curvature. I will have to point out again for new people that this is usually due to packaging, and there's nothing that some hot water and then slowly bending this back into place won't fix as it cools down. So that's a pretty easy fix, but just a slight annoyance in my opinion that we have to do that. But so taking a look at the painting first, let's see what's going on with this. First of all, in again, true McFarlane fashion, the chainsword looks a little bit dull and a little bit unrefined. So you have this large chunk of black over here, and you get to see some bleed from the dark gray onto the black. And then over here is the dark gray section. So there are really no painting issues with this dark gray area. And then down at the end of the chainsword, you get to see some issues where the dark gray went on to this brass type of color or dull gold color. Obviously, there's no highlights and no shading whatsoever on this action figure. It would be nice if you actually did see some shading over here with the skull. So that's it for the chainsword. Let's look at the bolt pistol, or it could be a heavy bolt pistol. And there are no painting issues on this whatsoever, which is good. But unfortunately, there is absolutely no detail whatsoever on this either. And there's actually a slight curvature, as you can see as well. Again, just like with the chainsword, you can dip this in hot water to, bend it back into place. However, like I said, this looks very dull in my opinion and doesn't have a lot of things that really jump out. I wish that McFarlane would have actually put a little bit more effort and painted this area of the casing black, because that's usually what you see, and then left the rest of the stuff like dark gray. So it's a bit disappointing that you only get this. So let's take a look at the backpack. And again, the backpack is a, very large black blob and has, again, no differentiation or markings whatsoever on it. It would be nice if this was like a silver color down here with where the vents are at, and more silver here too. In my opinion, and I know this would definitely drive up the cost of these, there should have been at least some light highlighting on these panels and stuff. Now let's jump into the action figure itself. As you know, we always start off with the head. Let's take a look at the painting on it. And you can see that there's some areas in which the red did not fully cover the white, and then there's areas in which where the red bled onto the white over here. So the painting is okay. There's no shading whatsoever again on this. It would have been nice to see some shade right here, shade down here in these, I suppose, vent areas, shade down here as well. And then looking at the silver part, there's some areas in which I don't think the silver completely covered the white down here. It's a little bit better on this side. Let's turn this around and take a look at the pauldron. The iconography is super clean and neat. The lines are crisp and very accurate. And then looking at the red part of the pauldron, which denotes this as a veteran for the Raven Guard, it looks generally okay, where on the top it is painted red correctly. However, maybe because of tolerance issues or something, this should be painted red, but it's actually still black. But at least when you're looking at the red, it is painted cleanly on and doesn't actually bleed onto other areas. Flipping over to the other side, again, the Raven Guard iconography is super clean as well. And this particular arm has a different icon over here. And the silver parts are pretty weak on the edges. As you can see, the silver part did not cover the black of the armor, and you can definitely see that's an issue over here. Looking at the chest piece, there is zero painting issues over here because, well, this is not really painted. I know that McFarlane probably had this as a separate piece, painted it separately, and then fixed it on. So at least that part looks clean, but unfortunately there's no shading, so it looks very dull. And then looking at the belt area, let's take a look at it. Get some bleed from the brown to the black. Brown to the black as well on the other side. Flip this around, more bleed from brown to black. The brown did not cover the black here. So we're starting to see a little bit more painting issues here. However, the rest of the action figure is a dull black, which is a bit of a disappointment. It would be nice to get some highlights up here with the armor panels because I can guarantee you it looks pretty dull. I'll give you a for instance over here. I painted my Death Company, and you know they're black. And what I did with the Death Company is highlight the areas in a gray color. So this actually makes this model over here stand out. And this is exactly what I wish that McFarlane should have done with their action figure. Taking a look at the articulation, I don't believe the articulation has really improved or changed over the past few years. So 360 rotation around the head. You have 360 rotation around the arm. There is no ratcheting mechanism that you can feel. The pauldron rotates a little bit in and out. The elbow joint has that ratcheting mechanism over here and has about a 90-degree bend. And around the joint over here, it's also 360 degrees, as you can see. And around the wrist, it's 360-degree motion. Torso is also 360. So I'm going to bend him around. There you go. And then with the legs, you can kick it back here, all the way out up here. So it's maybe a little bit less than 180 degrees, but you do have a good range of motion. There's no loincloth to block the range. You get the knee that bends at 90 degrees here, and then a little bit of articulation over here with the feet. So let's kit out this intercessor. You got the backpack over here, and you're going to be attaching the backpack through this peg. And with the right hand, he's going to be wielding the bolt pistol because you have this index finger that's wrapped around. With the left hand, we're going to be putting the chainsword in. There we go. And once again, we have kitted out the veteran sergeant, and he's ready to purge some Xenos. So let's wrap up this review with my final thoughts.
All right, the veteran Raven Guard Sergeant is now fully reviewed, and I'll give you my thoughts about it. So I believe this action figure is not available in the U.S. territory where I live. So I actually had to pay a little bit of a premium to get it in. If I'm not mistaken, and it might be, in the UK, this is probably like $25–30 worth equivalents in pounds. I'm not 100% sure, but this actually did cost me about $40 to get it here in the States. So do I think the $40 is worth it for this action figure? No, not really. Is it worth it for $20? Yes, because that's exactly what McFarlane prices normal action figures that you can get in the United States. That extra $20 is really not worth the cost, mainly because, as I have pointed out to you, this thing looks like a gigantic black blob. It doesn't really stand out that much to me and looks very, very dull. The problem is also with the chest piece that I'm looking at right now, it's also stark white, so you're not able to see any kind of differentiation over here whatsoever. So in terms of accuracy, obviously McFarlane does a great job of mimicking how the miniature is supposed to look like, and they've got that spot on. The articulation has not changed, and it's still very, very good. And then the heavy bolt pistol that I reviewed is just completely solid gray, and it's, I'm sorry to repeat myself, it's dull. So for the amount that I paid for it, no, not worth it. So I'm curious to see what you think about this action figure, to see if this is actually worth it. If it's worth $20, would you buy it? If it's worth the $40 in which I pay for it, would you buy it? And as usual, there's going to be a ton more action figures to review in these upcoming months, so look forward to those. This is Sprues and Studs, and I hope you enjoyed this review, and I will catch you all in the next one. All right, the Raven Guard Veterans... Go look again. Stand up and be proud for the Space Marine that you are. Why aren't you standing for me? Go look again.